Hello, and welcome to another episode of Just Cuz, the podcast where two cousins talk about things they love.
Just Cuz, and today we are talking part 2 of season 2 of Invincible.
This show, man, it always just ups the ante in the best way.
It really does. It's so good, but I want to say something. I don't know how many people saw this. I saw no ads for the part 2 coming out. I saw nothing.
A lot of people, they didn't even know it was coming out.
I didn't know it was coming out until you told me.
Really?
And I love Invincible, and I follow all the things. I didn't know. I didn't know anything. So I think they really fumbled the bag with the promotion for this. But the first part of the season wasn't heavily promoted either. So
Not at all. I mean, I feel like the biggest negative that we will talk about is just how they split the season into two different parts. And that was obviously because animation takes time. I get that. But why not just release it now?
They even make a hilarious joke about it. I agree. I think especially because it wasn't that long of a wait that we would have been like, I can't believe you didn't release the season earlier. if the whole thing released now. It wasn't that long of a wait. But between a part 1 and a part 2, without, like, there wasn't a cliffhanger. I mean, there was kind of a cliffhanger, but it wasn't something that was clearly meant to be in 2 parts. It wasn't a story that had a bookend and then had a, you know.
There is one thing that I kind of liked about the break, and obviously what? I don't want it. That sucks. Why the hell did they do that? But in real time, Mark was on that alien planet. Like 3 months went by, and that's how much time Mark was on that place.
Oh, really?
Place.
I didn't
that's
even
the one
realize
thing that
I
liked. But again,
that's cool.
I'm not willing to take that for that break because that sucked. I want Invincible now.
I think it's not a good marketing strategy to release 4 episodes of your show and then wait 3 months and then release the other 4 episodes without any promotion. I don't think that was a smart decision. I don't know how many people realized that it was, because I would have thought that was the season finale. If it just didn't come out the next week, I would have been like, was that the season finale?
Maybe.
And nobody told me. It didn't seem like a season finale. It was only 4 episodes. But I
was pretty climactic.
I wouldn't be periodically checking back in. Yeah, exactly, because it brought back Omni-Man. Right. And that is a significant plot event. And I would have been like, okay, that's the end. We have to wait. Why did they choose their season to only be 4 episodes? I don't know. No idea. But
yeah, short seasons have happened. And also, I mean, just the fact that there was some fanfare for each episode, and when they came back for part 2, I'd been following their Twitter page pretty heavily. So, like, I knew. But also, you need more than just your own marketing. Like, you need to get it into people's consciousnesses, and that's through social medias and other people talking about it and just saying, holy crap, I can't wait for this to happen. And there just wasn't enough of that. Because
if we're being completely honest, less and less people are on Twitter, okay?
Yep.
I saw stop it. Stop it. Okay. Sorry.
Just
technical
popped up.
Difficulty. I was counting down on my fingers and I lifted my thumb up and it started doing the thumbs up sign to match. No, that's not what I'm trying to do. Anyway, I'll count the other way. Less and less people are on Twitter. Sorry, X. Fuck you. You know?
Whatever.
There was no ads, no billboards, no TV spot commercials. Not that people watch commercials anymore, but I didn't see any ads on TikTok. I didn't see any ads on Instagram. And I am the kind of person who would be marketed to. This show should be marketed to. If you look at my search history, this matches it, okay? I don't know why I had to hear about it from you and not from the show being like, hey, Invincible Part 2, Season 2 is coming out, you know?
Right? I don't know. This whole release schedule just needs to be worked on. Like Season 3, I am fine with waiting a year or two as long as it comes out all at once.
They should have just released it all now, because 3 months is not that big of a wait. If you're like, it's coming out in, what was it? January? Did it come out in January?
Sometime around then.
And it's like,
it's
sure. Like if you say our show's coming out in January or our show's coming out in April, it's not that big of a difference, you know?
No. As long as you have a date, you have something to look forward to. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Even just the fact that they were renewed for season 4 and 5, and like that's exciting. But I just want the date for season 3.
Especially because that's really great, especially because, like I said, I don't know what kind of audience they got because nobody knew about it. So that could have really hurt them, but maybe that's why they didn't market as much and focused more on the animation, because they were already renewed, that's a luxury. That's great. You know, I'm glad. But getting into actually talking about this season.
You know, actually, before we talk about the plot itself, you brought up animation, and they stepped it up this season.
It was really good. It was
because I mean, in season 1, there are moments where it's like an anime, where the fights are really cool and dynamic, and the art is just mind blowing. But then there are some scenes where 3 minutes it's just someone talking, and it's a static image, and their mouth is just barely moving. And that happens in season 1. And I think that might happen once or twice in season 2, but
it definitely happens.
Yeah, even the dialogue feels fluid with the animation, and it's just all stepped up in the best way possible. And they clearly spent a lot of time and budget on this, and I'm glad.
I think it's really interesting because even though I did poke fun at it a bit, I did see a bit of a difference between the first and second parts, because the first part of the season was really about, at least on the Mark and what's his mom's name? His mom.
Debbie.
Debbie, that's it. At least on the Mark and Debbie side, it was a lot about dealing with trauma and the fallout of everything that happened in the season finale of season 1, and how their family has changed, how it's changed them, how Mark doesn't want to be anything like his father and is adamant to prove that to the world, and Debbie is trying to climb out of the black hole of grief and pain she feels. Literally, I always give props to Sandra Oh, but props to Sandra Oh, okay, because absolutely amazing. The entire Debbie storyline is
she goes on
incredible.
like the date, I say in quotation marks, with that one guy from the therapy group.
Right.
And then she says that she was married to Omni-Man, and then he just, such a dick. He's just like, no, you can't come here.
I mean, it's not that
that's not...
It was not good. It was not good. No. But wasn't his wife killed by Omni-Man?
Yeah.
So it's understandable. It's not he's the asshole or Debbie's the asshole. They're all, because
I mean, if I'm remembering right, Omni-Man put his hand through her face. So you know, it's complicated.
That's awful. And personally, I would not want the wife of the man who murdered my wife to be in my support group about dealing with the death of my wife. You know, personally, I wouldn't want that. And I understand where it comes from for him, but I also understand that Debbie didn't know any of this, and her entire life is turned upside down now, and she needs a support group. And so it's just life, and it's awful, and it's very painful, but it's necessary, and it's
great
so
because everyone has a point. And that's this entire show. Even the villains, like I don't want to say too much, but like the Viltrumites are terrible, just fascists right now. But you still get to know a lot of them. Even Anissa, which we'll talk about later.
I don't want to know them. They are
Sasha.
They are colonizers. They are bad. They're evil.
You're gonna get to know each and every one of them.
Stop it! No, I don't want to. I want to hate them. But I still hate Omni-Man, but they're trying to be like, hey, Omni-Man's learning his lesson. Mark has a brother, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, no shade to Oliver. Love little purple baby Oliver. He's
innocent in all of this.
Also, I'm sorry. Okay, wait, I really got off track. I was talking about the first half and the second half. The second half of the season was very much them dealing with the fallout, Mark and Debbie dealing with the fallout of what Omni-Man did on that planet with the bugs.
Yep.
Or whatever.
And I think, the Thraxa, I think is the name of the planet.
Yeah.
But also I feel like part 2 of this second season was really about, and this is me just interpreting it, but it was just about Mark trying as hard as he can be to be normal, and then that finale was just him realizing, I will never be normal. I have to accept this.
Well, that's part of that's part of the reeling and dealing with seeing, because so trauma, recovery, I can
just imagine Jamie Lee Curtis saying trauma. Trauma
is not linear. It's not a linear journey, right? Mm-mm. They are dealing with the results of their abuser at the end of season 1, who is Omni-Man, who is...
Yep.
What's it? Nolan, right?
Nolan,
And, see, I'm not great with the names. And then, what happens when that abuser... Your abuser is your parent, is your family member. Mm-hmm. What happens when that abuser comes back into your life? You have to deal with that, and that is it manifests in different ways, and definitely not speaking from personal experience. Nothing like that. Can you hear my voice dripping in sarcasm? But the journey that, like, especially Debbie, but Mark has to deal with his father, having done all these terrible things to the world and to him, and hurting him so badly, but also still loving him and wanting to be a part of his life. And that is a common thing, amongst children who have, toxic parents. And Debbie, because Mark gets, strung into Omni-Man's, tornado once again, his web, the result is he gets left with his new baby brother. Yep. And he has to deal with that. And he is 18 years old and he's in college and he can't fucking take care of a baby who's also an alien, but mostly a baby, And Debbie, who has been so irrevocably hurt and destroyed by Nolan, has to now raise his son with another woman because she loves her son, and her son, she knows that she can't leave this on him, that he can't have this responsibility left on him. He's a child still, and this is his brother.
Yeah. And she doesn't she doesn't necessarily want to take care of Oliver, who they end up naming him.
Of course she doesn't. But
also, after a day of taking care of him, Cecil finds out and he's like, hey, don't worry, we'll take it off your hands, we got this. And she's like, no, you're not taking him. I'm not gonna let government people raise this child. So Debbie, as much as she's in pain, or as much as the circumstances around her just keep on pushing her down, she's always that light of hope in this show, which is it's so amazing.
Exactly. And
I'm
falls
getting
in
ahead
love
of myself.
No, it doesn't matter. She falls in. Let the tangent just take you away.
Yeah, that's why the finale is so amazing.
River of tangent. I don't know why milky, but
I love tangents. I'm talking about Invincible because I could talk about Invincible for hours.
Yeah, but Debbie ends up falling in love with Oliver and you know, seeing him as her own, and I can't fucking wait until Omni-Man tries to come back and be like, give me my son, and she's like, no fucking way, this is not your son anymore, he's mine, fuck you, die in a hole. I hope that happens. I mean, I don't want any spoilers from you. Stop.
I'm not telling you anything.
Wipe that look off your face.
You can read my face.
I already know that Oliver's going to grow up and become like Mark's sidekick or something. I don't know, grow up quickly because he's...
Do you want to know his superhero name?
I do not. I don't want to know anything. For you. I don't want to know anything. Stop it.
But anyway, is there anything more to talk about with part 1 of season 2?
I mean, let's talk about Eve. Let's talk about Eve for a second.
Let's talk
where
about
we left
Eve.
off with Eve.
I mean, I think a point that I read somewhere on Twitter, and I have to agree with, is there wasn't any action or anything with Eve specifically on par with that Adam Eve special.
Oh, of course not. That Adam Eve special was exquisite.
I think that was just because that singular special was so extraordinary.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eve still has plenty to do in this show.
I think the first half of the season, Eve has a very specific storyline going on, and I enjoyed it. And it ends that first half with her... She's, you know, she doesn't want to be a part of a government-run team. She wants to be on her own. Right. She thinks that she can be a hero on her own, which she can be, but she also, she's alone, and she doesn't always stop to think about consequences because her power allows her to do anything. She's the best. I've said this before. She is
the most powerful.
She has the best power. When I was a kid and people asked me, what would your superpower be? I would always say to be able to manipulate atoms, because then I could do anything. That is the best superhero power, hands down. She is the most powerful being on the planet, you know.
In the universe.
Probably in the universe, exactly. And you know, Mark, he can take a punch, he's invincible, but what else can he do? You know, no, I mean, he can do other stuff, but like...
he's a Viltrumite.
He's a one-trick pony. He's a Viltrumite. He's a Superman without the laser vision. You know, he's...
Or any of other Superman stuff. Powers.
He's just the things that you think of when you think of Superman.
Yeah.
Right. And Eve... So Eve, say a family is like, we want to park here, or so, like there's a sinkhole next to our apartment building, and we've been trying to petition the
city
government,
council.
The city,
Leslie
to turn it into a park. Leslie Knope, get your bulldozer, come fill in this sinkhole. So Eve just clicks her fingers and creates a park, and there's a lovely park there, but then it turns into a sinkhole because she didn't put a foundation under that park.
Because, I mean, just the basic, with great power comes great responsibility. Being able to do anything means that you're gonna make a couple mistakes.
Yes.
It's just gonna happen. And especially when you're on your own. But Eve doesn't deal with that well.
Well, she ends up, and the family, they died, right?
No, I think they were just hospitalized.
Oh, they just went to the hospital.
They make a point of saying no one died from it, but Eve is still like very distraught, and she goes back to her abusive parents. Yeah,
she goes back to living with her abusive parents, and that's where part 1 ended. And I was not super thrilled to see that, to get her out of living with her abusive parents again, she didn't really do. There wasn't really anything that she did or a journey that she went on. Rex just came to her house and talked to her and had a conversation. It was a great conversation. It was a great scene. I loved the scene. But then that was it. And then she was back to fighting alongside the Guardians.
I don't know if she's back per se. I think she's probably connected a lot of that trauma to, if I'm with Rex or even just with a team, then I'm fine, because that will come back.
I hope it does, but like I said, from where we left the season 2 at season 2 finale, that's it. Her arc was over at that point. And to have a compelling season for your well-written characters, you need to have an arc per season. You have to have something that they are, going through, and there has to be some sort of conclusion. It doesn't have to be her ultimate conclusion, but there was no conclusion to her arc. It just sort of dwindled, and more important things came into the forefront. And I didn't appreciate that, because Eve is my favorite character. I adore her. Alongside Amber, because Amber really steps up her fucking game in season 2. I adore her as well. And it was just a little lackluster. It wasn't what I was hoping for, especially when they ended it there, with her going back to her parents.
I think Eve will definitely get a lot of focus as we go on.
I'm sure she will, but that's not what I'm talking about.
I know.
I'm talking about right now. I haven't read the comics, folks.
they sacrificed a lot of, not even her storyline of Eve, but I think it was just screen time. They sacrificed a lot of screen time for Eve just so that they could tell a really good story with Amber and Mark breaking up, because that was, I remember when we talked about Invincible on the podcast last, you spoke about your concerns about, like, what is happening with Amber? Where are we going? Like, I don't want her to be just the throwaway girlfriend. And that is essentially what she is. And going in, I knew that she would be.
In the comics. In the comics.
Yeah.
Not here.
And I think I'm bringing up the difference in the comic because this is a million times better than the comic.
Oh, yeah. That was the first thing that I came away with. It was so, the way that their relationship breaks down, it was so nuanced. It wasn't all at once. It was over a long period of time. We could all see it coming. We always, obviously, everybody who's watching this, I didn't read the comics. We all know this. I never do the reading, but
you always do the reading. Come on.
I always do the reading, but never the comic. I don't know why. But everyone watching the show knows that Mark and Eve are going to end up together. Is it, stereotypical? Yes. Is it unfortunate that the throwaway love interest is one of the only black characters? Absolutely. That's unfortunate. But the way that they make this relationship evolve and eventually break down is very realistic. And I mean, realistic if one of the people if you were in a relationship with a superhero.
It's as realistic as it can be. Because I mean, each of them is trying to take that step forward, and it's always not at a good time, or it's just not working. Yeah. And it's really well done.
It's realistic. It has realistic motivations, okay? It's what happens in a relationship with two people who are on very different paths. And that's an unchangeable thing. Mark can't change the fact that with great power comes great responsibility. He has great power, therefore he has to go and save the world. And Amber does not try and stop him, because why would she do that? All of those fucking... You know what pisses me off so much? All of those hundreds of superhero movies where the girlfriend is all like, stop fighting crime and pay attention to me and let's go on a date. I can't believe you have to leave again because we're on a date right now and you have to go stop someone from dying. Fuck you, you selfish bitch.
I'm saving lives.
That's how you know it's written by men. Sorry, but that's how you know that was written by a man. Because if somebody was dating a superhero, this happens all the time, okay? If you're dating a police officer, if you're dating a firefighter, if you're dating someone who has a doctor, someone who has a job where they are saving people's lives, not that police officers save most people's lives. It's mostly the other two. But
right.
If you have a job where you have to be on duty at any time and lives are at stake, you cannot be the partner, be like, I don't like that about you. I want you to be selfish. I want you to stop crime fighting and pay attention to me. That's awful. That's an awful thing. And if that happened, you would break up with that person immediately because they're selfish. Because
that's not a right thing to do or
they
ask.
Clearly don't share your values. If your value is helping people and their value is themselves, that's incongruent, you know? That relationship would never realistically work out. So I hate in all the movies where they do that. And I'm very glad that this is not like that at all. Amber never once is like, don't go save the world because we're on a date. And he leaves her in the worst places and all the time. And it sucks. But it also...
And she is hurt because of that.
Yes.
And she brings it up, but she also brings up that it makes her feel selfish because she wants him to stay. Like
exactly.
They bring up all of the nuances without it being on the nose or contrived. I don't know how they do it.
It's not a selfish want. It's not a selfish want to be able to go on a date with your boyfriend and have him stay the whole date. That's not selfish. That's normal. It's not selfish to want to have a relationship where both parties are present. That's not selfish. That is what a relationship is. That is, realistic and, human. But it would be selfish if she said, I'm going to break up with you if you don't stop crime fighting. That would be selfish. I am mad at you because of this. Amber is not mad at Mark. Amber's mad at the situation, and Amber and Mark too. Mark is not happy with this. No. He wants to be in a relationship with Amber, but it really shows that, sometimes it could be the right person, it could be the wrong time. It could be, that these two people, even though they really love each other, they can't make it work. And that just happens because people are different and they have different paths they have to go on. Amber is a student and she, is trying to have a normal college experience, and Mark is a superhero. And
he's never gonna have that.
I'm fairly certain he's dropping out of college because he literally can't go to his classes without being called away to an alien planet to save people.
And he misses 3 months of classes.
Yeah, and that sucks, but that's what it is. There's nothing we can do about that. And the relationship breakdown is very good. I talked about it a really long time, more than I wanted to.
But there's plenty to talk about. I mean, everything about this show is amazing. I mean, while you were talking about the relationship, I don't know why I thought about this, but we develop Alan, the alien, voiced by Seth Rogen.
I love Alan, the alien. I mean, it was more in part 1. Yeah, it was more in part 1 of the season, but he wakes up from his coma and he's strong and he's buff and bigger and he's like, okay.
And he can take a hit from a Viltrumite.
He's like an evolving Pokemon. He's like he's like what, 3rd level Charizard or something.
That is Charizard. Know. Wait.
Okay, well, I don't know Pokemon very well.
We can do this. Sasha, we can do this. There's Charmander.
Just Charmander. There's
something in the middle.
Something else, and then there's Charizard.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's... Yeah. Yes. I don't know the one in the middle.
We did it. We basically did it. But, so, when Alan is basically beat to death, and during that scene we find out that there is a spy in the Coalition of Planets,
I was gagged. I was like, how dare you spy on Alan for the freaking Viltrumites? No.
And then they kind of tease that it might be Thaddeus or Thetis, however you say
I
it.
definitely thought it was going to be him, but then they squashed that real quick.
Mm-hmm. They're like, nope, he's actually a Viltrumite.
He's a defector. Well, yeah, I was like, he's going to be a fucking Viltrumite, but he was a defector. And he was like, I hate the Viltrumites.
Mm-hmm. He's the only Viltrumite that rebelled until he heard about Omni-Man and Invincible. And he's like, shit, if we can get them on our side, maybe
we can turn the tide. And then Alan...
Even though...
And then Alan's
Invincible
like...
doesn't want to go to an alien planet again.
Right, but then Alan's like, I got a plan. Omni-Man has been taken prisoner. I'm gonna get myself captured by the Viltrumites. Just a little espionage, and
Alan,
I'm gonna.
Alan, I get you're strong now, but that is such a terrible plan.
But it's such a Seth Rogen thing to do.
Yeah.
So he gets captured by the Viltrumites, and he gets taken to the prison where Omni-Man is, and he's about to be executed, and then Alan's like, hey, let's escape.
Hey, bro. I love how J.K. Simmons is putting on his best, like, Shakespearean performance, where he's like, I am gruff, and I'm the last Viltrumite who cares for people. And then Seth Rogen's just like, hey, bro, I'm here to get you out. I just love that dynamic so much.
Okay. Can we talk about, what's his name? Glasses guy. Dead robot glasses guy.
Donald,
thank you.
Yes.
I don't know names, guys. And then William's boyfriend.
Rick.
Donald and Rick. Okay.
So
talk about things coming out of nowhere. I loved this storyline. Again, let's hear it. Let's hear it for those in the back. Trauma. It is dealing with those hard-hitting things. And why don't you explain it? Because I'm too excited.
I have to explain something from the comic too, because Donald has always been an android in that story. Like, it starts and he's got the robot body and the powers. Like, It's just like that. So for it to be revealed that Donald was killed and rebuilt as a robot, and he is terrified of that and has so much trauma wrapped up in that. And then on top of that, he realizes that this isn't the first time he's been rebuilt. It's like, 36 or 7 times?
Yeah.
And then he takes all of that trauma and he uses it to help someone
you can't use
through
that
the same thing.
I'm sorry, you can't say it like that if you're talking in a serious sentence. I will not be able to control myself. No, it's really serious. Rick is having... Okay, so in the first season, Rick was a victim of... What's his face?
Oh, God. He's voiced by
Dr. Chappy Chappy. Oh, God!
Not in this season. They replaced his voice.
Okay, well, Dr. Chappy Chappy, and that's what we're going to call him. Dr. Choppy Chappy, that's his name. Leave it at that. Stop thinking about it. And he was turned into a robot, kind of. He was like almost turned into a cyborg.
I think they call him Reaniman, but they're cyborgs.
And he was like fully conscious, and it was very... And his mind was under the control of Dr. Choppy Chappy, and it was...
What the heck is his name?
And
God damn it.
It was very troubling, but he survived, and this whole time since we've last seen him, the government has been reconstructing his body. We can make him stronger, better, faster. $6 Million Man style. But...
Shut up. It's D.A. Sinclair, by the way. I remembered his name.
I like Dr. Choppy Chappy.
Yeah, that is better. But I was losing my mind. I needed to remember it.
And so, Rick comes back to school, and starts, seeing William again, and he is so traumatized. He's like, they rebuilt my body, but it doesn't feel like my body anymore. They left something out. I feel like he feels like a complete stranger in his own skin, which that is a very common thing with people who have had reconstructive surgeries, especially like facial reconstruction or reconstruction after a traumatic incident. They can often feel like they're not themselves anymore. And it's, very interesting psychological phenomenon that happens. And it was, I wouldn't say they delved into it very deep, because they're, Rick and Donald, I couldn't even remember their names. They're not the focus of the story. It's Invincible. No. But they are byproducts of this story. And it was very, I liked a lot how they went into this and how Donald used his trauma. He used his experience and his trauma and the decisions that he has made, because even though he doesn't remember making the decision, Donald has chosen to be rebuilt and forget each and every time.
Right, and there was that time where he was talking to Cecil, and Cecil said that it was always his choice, and do you want to forget again? And he said yes, and then he got the call from William. Yeah. And they never actually had the scene of him telling Cecil that, no, I want to remember, but
it doesn't, he definitely wants matter.
To remember. Yeah, because the audience knows.
Because he doesn't need to tell Cecil, because he tells Rick. That's what matters. He tells Rick, I was wrong. I was wrong to forget my pain and my past and my trauma. I need to remember making these decisions, because that's who I am. I'm not my body. I am my consciousness. I am the decisions that I make, and so are you. And
the people I love and the people that love me. Love that line. That really hit.
So good. And I literally cried. I did.
Yep. I was on the verge of tears just from that one line.
Big strong man. You can't cry. Cry at the fucking cartoon, Max. Cry.
I'm trying to think of the last cartoon I cried at. Every time I watch Coco, I cry. Does that count?
Coco, Encanto. I cry at everything, dude. I can't make this list for you. It'll just be everything.
But I feel like...
I love crying. I feel like I look my best cathartic after I've cried. Yeah.
The last thing I cried at, I think, was Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That
I still haven't watched it. I need to watch it.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna watch it. I promise.
There's so much good stuff coming out. We'll talk about it in our next segment, but oh my God. I need, Shogun. I haven't seen Shogun, but apparently
I haven't seen it either. I'm waiting for all the episodes to come out, because I've heard it's so good, and I don't want to wait. Yeah, I want to see all the episodes at once.
Yes. But back to Invincible, because I don't know if we're up to it yet. There's plenty of really good fights, and I don't even know if it's on par with as emotionally climactic as the first season, but the finale with Angstrom Levy. Oh my God.
It was very good. It was very good. At first I was a little upset because we hadn't seen Angstrom in so long. That I was like, it was the part 2. It had been 3 months plus, you know, the last time we saw him. And I was like, when are we going to see that guy again? Wasn't there that guy who was played by Sterling K. Brown who was all weird looking? I was like, where did that guy go? And then he comes back and it's the finale. And I was like, okay. And I feel like something has been left out.
Well, I think he's also at the end of episode 6, like in the post-credits.
It's very short.
And then there's a cliffhanger with episode 7. So he is there, but you're right. Like, he's teased very lightly, and then he smacks into the storyline.
It's that he's there. He's there. He's shown, but he's not doing anything. He's not making any decisions that affect the story or Mark until the finale. And that's why I was like, guys, we need to do this a little better, just a little better. one thing could have been,
right?
Him being like, I'm luring Mark closer to being like his father, to show him his quote-unquote real self, because this is who he is, because I hate him and I want to kill him and he destroyed my world, something like that.
Or but honestly, I'm spitballing, but maybe he tries to put him in another dimension and he fails and you don't even realize it was him, or something like that.
Right.
I don't know.
Just something where he interacts with Mark, because the way it is now, he interacts with Mark in the pilot of the season, the first episode of the season, and the last episode of the season, and that's it. That's it. And literally Mark goes, "Hey, aren't you that guy?"
And he's like, "That guy?"
He's like, "You don't remember me?" And I was like, "Yeah, nobody does, because you haven't done anything, babe. I love you. I love you. I've been calling you Sterling K. Brown this whole time. I did not remember your name."
Angstrom Levy. I think he says it.
But I still wouldn't have remembered it if you hadn't said it right before I started talking.
But I mean, even with the point of he's only in 2 episodes, and at that maybe like 30 minutes in total for both of those episodes. And with that, Sterling K. Brown and even Stephen Young in those scenes absolutely kills it. And left the biggest impression on me. Like, they're so angry, and when they are calm, you can feel the rage and everything about Angstrom's character. I loved.
No, it was very well done.
And just the way that they explained his madness and visualized it, with him seeing every other version of Mark killing him or his son or just the people around him, because pretty much every other version of Mark is a villain. That's not true. That's not true. I'm so sorry, but that's not true, because Debbie literally says that's just the versions that you met who banded together to kill Mark. That's not every other version of Mark, because I raised Mark, and there is not only one universe where that happened. I am pretty confident that
I don't care what the comics say.
No,
Max.
I'm saying the show. I'm not saying the comic, because I don't even know if yes, but the show also clarifies that like at least 70% of every version of Mark, or maybe even they say 90.
Sure, but whatever. Most of them are evil. That's fine. I get it. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Debbie literally says in the season finale, when he's trying to kill them all, and he's literally trying to kill a mother and a baby because he's a psycho. I'm sorry, but at that point, he's a psycho. The original
holding the baby
Langstrom,
by the
he was
leg.
fine. That was fucked up.
Yeah. But yeah, even when Debbie says, "I raised my son who defied his father," like, that was...
Yeah. It was incredible. But she also said, this is not the only Mark that is not evil. I'm pretty sure she said that. Like,
I don't think she does. But she also says that you're projecting, because when she's talking to Angstrom, I believe the exact line is, "This is the one version of Mark that is good, and you don't like that, because this is also the one version of you where that is bad."
Yeah. No, that was really good. But okay, maybe it's just me, because I know that that's not how multiverses work.
No, I also like the idea that this Mark is an exception. Like, most Marks are terrible.
I like that too, but again, that's not how multiverses work.
No,
a multiverse,
but I just like it.
A multiverse is usually defined by every decision makes a branch timeline, and it's and it's not just multi, it's infinite because of that. Because every single decision, because there's 100 million decisions that you make every day. If I wake up and I put on every second, if I wake up and I put on a blue shirt, okay, there's a universe where I woke up and I put on a white shirt, where I put on a red shirt, where I didn't wake up at all, where I decided to stay in bed, and there's a universe where I wore no shirt, okay? There's a million...
There's a universe where you died.
Yeah. There's 100 million universes where I don't exist, and where you don't exist and where none of us exist because our parents decided to have sex at a different time and they have a different kid, or they didn't get together, or whatever. But that's how multiverses work, you know?
Right.
All the decisions are, like, every single decision makes something. So they're, like, they clarify that in, like, you know, my favorite film, Everything Everywhere All at Once. But, you know, there's close branches. There are universes that are very close together, and then there are ones that are way farther away. I'm sure that of the majority of the universes, there are few good Marks. But I think in a bunch of the timelines that are very close to where Mark is, and this Invincible timeline, there are other good Marks about.
I'm sure. Yeah. But we're never going to see them.
Okay, whatever. I just like thinking about multiverses, and I don't like when people dumb them down for general audiences.
I don't know if it's dumbed down, it's just through the perspective of Angstrom.
Okay.
Which I do like.
Which is dumb.
You're dumb.
He's dumb.
Anyway.
He big brain man. He dumb.
Anyway, I feel that at the end of their fight, after it's revealed that, you know, Angstrom is super strong now because they rebuilt his body. And they have a big old punch-up. Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But then Mark
I thought we were talking about Alan for a second.
No. He does have a new body after being super strong.
Right.
But Angstrom, there is a really big theme, now that you kind of bring it up, that people get absolutely obliterated on the brink of death, and then they heal from that, and they're stronger because of it. That happens a lot to a bunch of characters in the show.
I don't think they're always stronger. I don't know if Rick is stronger.
Well, they have trauma, but objectively they are stronger physically.
Sure, yeah.
But Mark absolutely snaps. You know, Angstrom's threatening his family, and then he just beats him to a bloody pulp.
Oh yeah, no, and now he's stranded. He kills him good. Yeah, it was dark. It was, and then something I definitely wasn't expecting happened. The Guardians of the Globe. I almost said Galaxy.
You got it right.
The Guardians of the Globe.
From the future.
Come and get him in this universe where nothing exists, and because he is stuck there because he can't get back because he killed Angstrom. And so they come back and get him, and I'm like, oh my god, did time move differently here? And is it the future now? He can never go back? But no, they send him back in time. And I was like, oh, okay.
Just like the moment he left or whatever.
And then Eve, older Eve with a cute buzz cut, goes, I'm in love with you. Me, but also younger me is in love with you.
I have been for a while.
And you need to tell her something. You can tell her you don't feel the same way. You can tell her you love her too. But you got to tell her something, because otherwise she's going to be pining after you forever. And then this bitch goes back, not Eve, Mark. This bitch Mark goes back and he chooses not to say anything. Yeah. He's literally about to, and then he's like, I'm not going to. And I'm like, bitch! How dare you! She literally asked you!
Yeah, that's the one thing she broke the time stream for.
Begged you. She literally begged, and she said, this is ruining my life. Please, this has ruined my life. Please help her. Tell her
let her move on.
And I was like, this fucking...
Okay, so...
No, I'm just gonna sit next to you on a rooftop at night, all romantic style, and not say anything. Fuck you.
So, we will go back to the future Guardians, because there's plenty to talk about there. But my interpretation of that last shot of the season, of them on the bridge or whatever, was Mark was just a scared little boy. He couldn't tell her because he was nervous.
Pussy. Sorry. Pussies are strong, okay? They give birth, okay? You fucking dick. Idiot. Dumb idiot.
Hey, those can be strong.
Our grandmother listens to this and told me to stop cursing in this, so I'm sorry, Grandma. I'm sorry, Nana. I can't stop.
It's like telling an ocean not to be wet. Like, I'm sorry.
I can't. I was gonna make a really dirty joke, but you can't. I can't. No. Cut this out. Cut this out. Especially if Nana's gonna listen to it.
I mean, I'm keeping all of this in.
God damn it.
Now I have to. Especially now that I've commented about how I'm keeping it in.
Oh, well, stop with the inception. Okay.
I didn't even realize the accidental innuendo.
What were we talking about?
Future Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. Rex?
Yes.
He looked good, but I was confused because he was robot. He was robot. And I was like, ah!
Yeah, he was. So it was adult Rex in the robot suit. And he said something to Eve about like, hey, we talked about not messing with the time stream.
And then she said, shut up, Rex. And I was like, that's not robot?
So,
what the heck?
I'm staying silent other than remember that. That's important. Remember that.
Of course I'm going to remember it. That was the first thing I said, other than Rex looked good. But
I'm not going to lie, like that. It's going to be a
Jason.
while until that comes up. Holy shit. Like, that's
course.
incredible that they laid those seeds.
You know what? Okay. It's been well established that I work at a bookstore. Someone came in the other day and asked for the Invincible compendium.
Mm-hmm.
So if y'all don't know what a compendium is, it is every issue of a volume put together. Right?
It's like a big old collection, and there's multiple
huge
names.
Collection, yeah.
I don't know why they call them the compendiums, because usually they're called omnibuses. But go on.
Yeah, but it's weird because the Invincible omnibus, it's like being reprinted now or something.
Yeah,
they're coming out as the omnibus, but they're very thin. The compendium is like 3 inches thick, and there's three of them. There's 3 of them.
It's 50 issues every single book.
It's so thick. I was like, I could kill someone with this. It's huge.
No, Sasha, I need you to understand that I have about 20 different omnibuses or compendiums on my shelf. Like, if I'm in danger, I could just grab one of those, like my Sandman Volume 1, leather bound, and I could just smack it against someone's face.
I've seen that shit. It's cool. But I have a lot of books. I could you kill anyone with any of your books? I could probably kill someone with Priory of the Orange Tree. It's pretty big, but it's also a paperback. So it's pretty big. It's like about the size of the first compendium, but I wouldn't, because I would never use my books in that sort of way. I'd rather kill someone with the hammer I have in my in my house. I
mean, that would be easier.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got on this.
I don't know, but the compendiums are
Sasha,
very big anyway.
You got to get those compendiums. Read Invincible.
No, absolutely
it's so good.
not. Absolutely not. I'm sorry. I will not be doing that. It's so hard for me to read a comic, okay? The only comics that I actually read are the Heartstopper comics because they're so cute. But I don't know why. I've tried my whole life. You've tried to get me to read them. Your dad's tried to get me to read them. I've tried to get me to read them, and I never do. There's
quite a few that I know you would genuinely enjoy. Like Tom King's Vision Run, which
I love that. And I've always wanted to read, the West Coast Avengers. I've wanted to read, there's a compendium.
The Great Lakes Avengers. Fuck.
Yeah, it's like a compendium or an omnibus or something of Scarlet Witch comics, and it's just all Scarlet Witch ones. And I was like, I want to read that so bad, but I can't. I don't know why. I just don't get into them. I start and I'm like, I want to read a novel. I don't want all these pictures. I want to imagine everything. I don't want to see it. I know the artwork is great, but I think I've told you this before, but I'd rather just read the plot summary on Wikipedia and then look at the pictures myself after that. I can't do it at the same time. I like to imagine it myself. I don't know why. It's super weird.
I get that. Maybe you need surreal stuff. Like there's a Doctor Strange comic. I think I even showed you a picture of it. That was really cool. And then there's a Batman comic, Arkham Asylum, by Grant Morrison. That's
I've read that
surreal.
one. I've read that one. Yeah.
I feel like you would like those.
I read Arkham Asylum. Took me a while.
I do want to talk a little bit about predictions for season 3.
Okay. What do we think is going to happen? Actually, let me go first because you know what's going to happen.
No, I'm not going to say what I think is going to happen.
Okay.
Other than you go.
Okay. So I think that no, there's too much pressure. I think that Alan the alien I think Alan and Nolan are gonna have a bit of an odd couple relationship going on. He's gonna save Nolan, and then they're gonna go like on their way back to, you know, wherever it is that Alan lives. They're gonna just
maybe find some of those things in Nolan's novels, like the Invincible gun or the Ragnars or whatever they're called.
Oh, I didn't think that they would look for them. I thought that Mark would look for those things. Because he's like, they're real. Eve, let's go look for them, you know, probably something like that. But I don't know, maybe since you're saying it, because you know what's gonna happen. Stop! You're feeding me the information.
Yeah.
I'm doubting. You're making me doubt myself.
I'm feeding you false information.
I don't know. You're making me doubt myself. I hope that they have an odd couple style relationship, where Alan is just happy-go-lucky all the time, even though he hates Nolan, and Nolan is just a grumpus.
Yeah, he's got the weight of the worlds on his shoulder.
Except
he put it there.
Except we all hate him also. So
one thing that I don't think I brought up, and I'm sorry, I'll let you go on, but Nolan, I feel like this entire season was just getting ready for his redemption, and even the last line of the season at that end credit of him realizing that he misses his wife. Like, fuck you. You don't get to miss your wife.
He said.
But
no,
also,
you know what my first thought was? Which one?
Yeah.
Which
is it the
fucking
alien
wife,
bug one?
Nolan? Is it the Thraxan wife that you knew for 2 minutes? Or is it Debbie, who you were married to for over 20 years, who you said is a pet?
But also,
I hate him.
I get that hate, and yet plenty of people still hate him, like I do. But also the honesty in him saying that he misses his wife, just him saying that openly, like he's on the road to redemption.
I know. Complex characters. Everyone is a puzzle. No one's a puzzle piece. I got it. Okay, but I still don't like him. I'm not gonna like him. I don't like Christopher Columbus either. I don't like colonizers.
Yeah, you don't have to like him.
him.
And it's not like he's gonna stop being an asshole.
Right.
But also, what other predictions do you have?
Other predictions: Oliver gonna get big real fast. He's gonna grow up, and then Nolan's
he's gonna be 20 feet tall.
Nolan's gonna be like, "You named my son after your father, Debbie." Okay, weird.
I don't think Nolan has a say in any of this, though.
Of course he does not. Yeah. Of course he doesn't. No, absolutely not. I really hope that they raise Oliver right, and I mean, I know Debbie will, because I have every faith in the world in her, but I hope he doesn't like join the what are they called?
Viltrumites.
Vacuum cleaners. The Viltrumites again. He won't, because he's purple and they will discriminate against him and kill him. But I think that'll be fine. I think that there's going to be a lot more sexual tension between Mark and Eve. I hope that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I normally don't like high school drama, and there definitely was a lot of that in the first season, more so than the second, but there's going to be a lot of that.
Anymore.
Yeah. It's just going to be that high school style drama. And I don't know if I love it, but they are a good couple.
I want Mark to join the Guardians of the Globe and just like live in that for a bit, because right now we have it's like for the last 2 seasons, it's been like there's the Mark storyline, and then there's the Guardians of the Globe storyline, and then there's the Eve storyline, and then there's the Debbie story. It's a lot, you know, and the Nolan and the Alan, the alien.
And it's never too much, but it is a lot.
It's not too much, but Mark just feels so disconnected from the other heroes on his planet, and these are the heroes who he wants to be like, and these are the heroes who just came from the future and saved him. And so they clearly think of him as part of the team. So I would think that it would be interesting to see Mark working in a team like that, team experience, where he's not just the ringer that they call in, when they need something big done, but he is an actual team player. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, he works with a team when they're battling all the Sequids, but that's really it.
But he's the ringer there. He's not a member of the team, you know?
So I feel like in this show and going forward, a lot of people may be dead, but they're not. Like, Kate comes back. No one really dies in comic book stuff.
I thought that was a real cop-out that Kate came back, because it was really good. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Kate fine, but I thought it was really, really good character development for, what's his name? The Wolverine one. Immortal, yeah. He looks just like Wolverine.
Well, he's basically Vandal Savage, but also he was Abe Lincoln.
I know, but he looks exactly like what a cartoon of Hugh Jackman would look like. That's what I meant. But
yeah, they did a lot of really good emotional stuff.
Such good emotional character work for the Immortal, and then Kate comes back and that all's gone. And I'm like, okay.
It kind of nullifies it, but also whenever someone comes back, it's pretty well explained or set up.
Yeah.
Like with Kate, obviously she would leave a double out just in case, or they leave the original just in some warehouse.
Sure. Yeah. Also, they dropped in a bit of lore that I wasn't expecting. They were like, her powers come from a family curse. And I was like, okay, what? I didn't know that.
I think we've only seen him once, but she has a brother who's in prison.
Oh, sick. What?
He'll definitely, I think it's like Dupla Nate or something. It's fun.
This is such rich backstories. I love it.
But the last thing I want to talk about, and I will give no specifics, but Anissa, who's awesome. Well, not really, but what they did. I was like, in episode 7
interesting. Point to take there.
There's a lot of complex stuff that they'll do with her later, like even more morally gray. But she talks about how a Viltrumite is going to come, and she hopes that he's changed his mind by then.
Yeah, worse than her.
Yeah. Well, the Viltrumite that they send, he's the guy that they send to fix stuff.
Yeah, so which means he'll kill the planet. He'll destroy the planet. Yeah,
he's capable of destroying that whole planet. So I can't wait to see that. That'll definitely be in season 3.
I don't know how they're going to do it, but I feel like the end goal here is to, like, destroy the Viltrumites, but I don't know how they would do that.
So an end goal that they even started bringing up in this second season is just the fact that Mark, he doesn't really look at the bigger picture, but he's starting to, and he wants to save humanity. He wants everyone to be safe and to live in a utopia. And that's possible to get to with the power that he has. But how do you get there without genocide or killing people or becoming a fascist? That's what this show is going to be about. Okay,
well, because you can't. Because then you wouldn't have free will. Because free will is awful, you know? I mean, it's great and it's awful, because free will enables, greed and vengeance and all of the horrible things in the world that make our world the way it is, capitalism,
Or even how do you define a utopia?
Right, because it doesn't exist. If you have more than one conscious being, a planet full of conscious beings, they're never all gonna agree on something. Like I said, like I quote my hero, Daniel Sloss, the comedian, no one is a puzzle piece. Everyone is just as unique and interesting and complex as you. Everyone is their own jigsaw puzzle. And
yes,
you are never going to get everyone to agree on something. That's not how the world works. That's not how any planet works. The Viltrumites don't even all agree on something. They have a defector. They probably have more. Their planet, I don't know. They're all super strong and invincible. So how do they have a pecking order? What does that even look like?
Yeah, at this point, we know absolutely nothing about the Viltrumites, and we will get to know their culture.
Yeah, no, but like
it's gonna be great.
Sure, but like I'm here, I don't know anything about them. I'm saying like they claim to have a utopia, but I don't see how they would. I don't see how that's possible. Because if everyone has the same abilities, then wouldn't the old systems of power just come back into, not old for them, but like whatever system of power that they created on their planet, that like it wouldn't matter that they're all strong and invincible, you know?
I'm afraid of saying too much, but they also made a point of saying when Nolan was in prison that they're very weird about killing their own. Like they don't want to. They want to fix him before they ultimately have to kill him.
Sure, because
there's a big reason for that you maybe you're able to infer.
I'm not inferring anything. My mind is a blank. I am going the philosophical route. I am questioning their definition of utopia. I don't buy it, okay?
But right
because
now,
a utopia under utilitarian rule is not a utopia. That is not a thing. That is the masses are not happy under utilitarian rule. That's North Korea, okay? That's not
I'm thinking
good.
About the philosophical debates that are brought up with some specific characters later on. I cannot wait for you to see them, Sasha. But
very excited.
Well, that'll be like another decade until then.
All right. Well, we'll see in a decade. Goodbye.
Yeah. I feel we got to move on to our next segment, the consumption corner, where we're just starved for content. Sasha,
sorry.
what have you been watching lately?
Okay, so I finally finished the book that I was reading, Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. Not finally, I read it pretty quickly compared to the first one. The first one took me a bit. Okay, if anyone out there, you included, because I don't think you've read her, has not read anything by Leigh Bardugo, stop what you're doing right now and literally go read something by her, okay? She has written one of my favorite duologies of all time, and now the second of my favorite, like another one.
Okay.
And I think it's gonna another one. I think it's gonna be a trilogy because I think there's gonna be a third book coming out in this series. But her adult fantasy, mystery, thriller, you know, duology that might be a trilogy in the future is called, you know, The Ninth House, and it is so good. It took me a hot minute to get into it, but once I got into it and I finished it so quickly, and then I finished the second one, and oh my god, it's incredible. It's actually incredible. I highly recommend it. She just came out with a new book called The Familiar. I haven't read that one yet, but the other duology that she's written, you know, I've talked about it before because I've been talking about her for so long because it took me a while to read these books, but was the Six of Crows duology, which is one of my favorites of all time. It's so good, and it seriously is one of the biggest mysteries of my life that this is classified as a young adult book. It's very dark. It doesn't seem like it should be.
I remember you talking about it on the last episode that we recorded.
Yeah.
And you just talking about some of the heavy subject material that comes up in it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a lot.
I mean, I'm sure it's great.
Shit. It's really good. And yeah, so I finished that. You go on to your next thing before I just keep rambling.
Well, I only have a few to talk about because I watched plenty of movies, but the one that I will scream to the heavens about is Monkey Man, if you've heard about this.
I heard about it. I decided not to go see it because it didn't seem interesting to me.
So I was relatively interested. I heard that it was pretty much just Dev Patel's John Wick, and is definitely that. It is like an average revenge story where someone lost someone to, a big organization and they're trying to destroy that organization.
Sure.
But it is so much more than that. There are political themes about India and how oppression affects a person's life, and it's much more non-linear than I was expecting. The first 40 minutes, the character tries to get his revenge and then he absolutely fails, and the second half of the movie is him picking himself back up and getting into his heritage. Like, it is genuinely amazing. I cannot recommend it more.
That sounds way better than any of the trailers made it look.
Right? Like, I was expecting a fun time, but it was way more deep than I ever gave it credit for.
Interesting. Well, I finally watched another new movie that came out this year, Lisa Frankenstein. Oh my God! When I tell you, okay, let me give you some key phrases. Heathers.
Okay.
That's
I already know.
No.
Yeah. I got it all.
It is a very Heathers-esque. There's another one that I literally can't think of. I was thinking about it yesterday and I don't remember what I compared it to. But it's so good. It was not like, it wasn't so good. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't the best thing I've ever seen. But it was such a fun time. I had a freaking blast. And I was just like, this is a perfect movie for me. Okay, it's quirky, it's satirical, it's like Heathers. There's lots of murder and there's supernatural elements. It's very fun. I enjoyed it. I thought it was just a fun time, and I was like, this is how Cole Sprouse should be experienced as an actor. Not talking. Sorry, that was so mean. No, he's not a bad actor. Every time I think of him, I have to think of that line from Riverdale. I'm a weirdo. I'm weird.
Yeah.
Haven't you ever seen me without this stupid hat on? That's weird. I don't fit in. I don't want to fit in. Anyway, that wasn't his fault. Riverdale was crazy. But, but no. It was great because he didn't talk for the whole movie. He has one line. It's like the Alien movie that we talked about. I forgot. The one where there's no talking, but there's not no talking. There's a lot of talking. No one will save you, but it's not no talking. There's a lot of talking in this movie, but it's all by the other characters. And oh my gosh, the main girl, I forget her name, but she's a great actress. I've seen her in a bunch of other things. And Carla Gugino, what the girl, the mom from Hill House and so on. The Raven from House of Usher. That's it. I was gonna say Edgar Allan Poe, and I was like, no, she's not from Edgar Allan Poe.
She stepped out of his poetry.
Exactly. No, but it was so fun. I liked it a lot. Cole Sprouse doesn't speak. He's all facial expressions and grunting and movement. And I was like, this is great. He's really showing off his acting chops because he's very funny, even though he doesn't speak ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'd ever watch Lisa Frankenstein. It's not really my cup of tea, but it sounds like it is fun.
What? You don't like Heathers? What's wrong with you? Are you crazy?
I definitely don't like Heathers.
What?
Are you kidding me?
Are you? What?
Not
I'm
me.
sorry. We need to unpack this. Please explain yourself and why you're wrong.
It's edgy for the sake of being edgy.
No, it's not. Okay. Continue.
I don't have much to say about Heathers. I could write a thesis
edgy
and then I'd be ready.
For the sake of being edgy? Did you understand Heathers? Heathers is a satirical masterpiece. Heathers is God, I can't even talk to you right now. What?
Okay, I'll move on to my next recommendation. I
can't. I'm
Sasha.
Come so back. Angry.
I'm gonna pull yourself out. Wait, let me ask you a question. Have you seen Westworld?
No.
Oh,
I always meant to.
Doesn't work.
I always meant to. I know what it's about, if that's where you were going. I meant to. I always meant to see it, and I never did.
Well, I was hoping you said yes, and you said, "Oh my gosh, I love Westworld."
Okay, let me try again. Oh my gosh, I love Westworld.
Well, that's fantastic, because Fallout, the new TV show, is brought to you by, well, not brought to you by, similar team to the people who made Westworld. And if that doesn't clue you into how genuinely good this video game show is, it does not seem like it's a video game show.
Yeah. I've heard it's very good, and I thought about watching it.
Highly recommend. It's really good.
Cool. I rewatched Clue.
Clue is a satirical masterpiece.
Clue is a satirical masterpiece. And so is freaking Heathers, you noob.
No.
How I can't even
We're gonna have this fight
right now.
for the rest of our podcasting lives.
This is what I was trying to reference Clue and I was like, flames on the side of my head. I'm so angry. Yeah. Anyway, I watched Clue and it made me want to watch Rocky Horror Picture Show because
Tim Curry is amazing.
Tim Curry so much. Yeah, but no, something new that I'm reading. I'm starting TJ Klune's new book, In the Lives of Puppets, which TJ Klune is an incredible author. He wrote House on the Cerulean Sea and Under the Whispering Door, two of my favorite cozy fantasy novels. That's what they're classified as, cozy fantasy. And they're just so sweet and fun and heartbreaking, but also great. And I'm starting his new one, In the Lives of Puppets. So I'll let you know how that goes. I haven't really gotten into it yet.
Well, this coming week, I'm going to be watching Abigail and Furiosa in theaters.
Oh.
Both which look really fun. Cannot wait to see them.
Abigail looks interesting.
I got plenty to say about Abigail because I wish they didn't spoil that she was a vampire in the trailer.
I know, but that's what But who would go to see it if we didn't know that?
Just Cuz don't like trailers. That's known.
I don't like trailers.
Mm-hmm. Even though I do love watching trailers, I don't like them spoiling everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait to watch those. I have also started a rewatch of Legion. And let me tell you.
I love Legion.
I've only ever seen the first season. Like, I dropped off.
What?
So I cannot wait to finish season 1 so that I can get into the rest of it.
I got really far. I got halfway through the last season. And then I think they did something like Invincible did, like they took a break or something from the episodes releasing, and then I just never found out when the new episodes were coming out, so I never finished it.
And then, by the time it came back, you kind of lost interest. Like, that happens a lot. I think that happened with season 2 for me. Yeah. But
Legion is so good. I was just thinking about Aubrey Plaza, and I was like, I should rewatch Legion.
Legion is phenomenal. I forgot how good it was. And it's expected because it's from the people who made Fargo. And that TV show is amazing.
Really? I didn't know that. Oh.
That's why it shares so many actors from Fargo.
That makes sense.
If you notice that.
Yeah. That makes sense. Now that I think about it.
But I can't think of too much else.
I can't think.
Do you have any more recommendations?
I can't think.
Well, in that case, this podcast has been... See you next time.
Oh, do you want me to say Invincible?
No.